Hello everybody and welcome to the movie calendar. My name is Lee.
And my name's Terence.
And this week we're going to be talking all about John Krasinski's A Quiet Place.
Did you do that too?
I'm glad that you were on board with that one. I wasn't sure if we were going to do it or not.
We weren't organising that at all.
No,
but we were
that was
playing
off the cuff.
With for those of us on the podcast, we just did a sign with our fingers up awkwardly on our faces.
Mine was trying to be very John Krasinski-esque when he was in the woods to the old man. He does this weird kind of like half up his nose.
Full pushes his nose off his face. But that's like a full panicked.
It's because he really means it. Like, you know, if you make a sound, man, we're all going to die. So.
Oh, what film are we talking about today?
I've already said it. It's A Quiet Place. It popped up on the screen in big letters. Well done, Terence.
I was too busy choreographing my own moves.
Well, you'd think that this was our first episode.
I wasn't listening.
No, this as usual. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. If you're new here, welcome. Something that we normally do at the end of the episode, which I'll drop at the start here. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out. And helps us to get discovered, and leaving a like as well does that. And if you're listening to us on your favorite podcasting app, if you could give us a nice review, again, that would help us out. But yeah, without any further ado, should we jump into A Quiet Place?
Let's do it.
So we're going to break this week's episode up into a few different sections. If you're on YouTube or podcast app, you'll be able to see them in time codes in the description below. I'm not too sure of what order we're going to do them in yet, but I've got written down we'll do the characters, the world building, the writing, the creature design, and the sound.
Mm-hmm. That
sounds good to you, Terence?
That sounds good. Creature design.
Like the film.
Yes, like the film. Film sounded great. Sounded so good I couldn't even take any notes. I had to watch intently. I don't think there's been a film like this in a very long time that I was just stuck to. My eyeballs couldn't leave the screen, especially after the first scene. I was just, Yep. Anyway,
it sets it up so well. If you haven't seen the film, it's an absolute recommend from us. We are going to be talking about it as if you have seen it, so full spoilers ahead. Purchase it, rent it, find it on the streaming service if it's on any in your country, and give it a watch. It is absolutely wonderful. But yeah, it's the story of a family who are trying to survive in a world that is overrun by seemingly indestructible creatures that hunt and kill anything that makes a sound. So starring Emily Blunt, John Krasinski, Millicent Simmons, and Noah Jupe, and directed by John Krasinski himself.
I was talking with Lee just before and was wondering how we're going to refer to the characters, because the characters have names and they are credited at the end and on IMDb as well. But I think why don't we give the characters names for those that haven't stayed till the credits or know them? So John,
and we'll also be listing them as father, mother, daughter, and son. But yeah, if you want to give them their names,
and
we might drop those in as well.
Yeah, we'll talk about them everywhere. All right, so let's
figure it out. So keep up, don't catch up.
You'll work it out. If we say the mum, we know we're talking about Emily Blunt, whose character's name is Evelyn Abbott. So this is the Abbott family. So Evelyn is Emily. Oh, that's easy. Okay, John Krasinski's character, the dad, he is Lee Abbott. That's L-E-E.
Yeah, spells it wrong, but it's a great name.
It's fine. Millicent Simmons plays the daughter, whose name is Reagan Abbott.
Commonly referred to as Millie as well. So if we refer to the actor, I'll be referring to her as Millie.
Okay. Noah Jupe, he is Marcus Abbott. I'm guessing that's how I say his surname, unless there's a cool...
No, that's it.
Jupe? I don't know. Noah Jupe?
No.
Marcus Abbott, the son... who is just a little bit younger than Millie. Yes, because we know that Cade Woodward is Beau Abbott, who doesn't get much airplay, unfortunately.
Yeah, at least he was.
Yes, and I said Leon Russum plays the man in the woods. He's credited.
Yeah, and that's it.
There's an uncredited. His wife, Rhonda Pell, just for any Rhonda Pell fans there.
There you go.
There we go.
Playing the corpse.
Yes. Oh, okay. Yeah, so we'll talk about him in all switching names and
and also John Krasinski did a bit of the motion capture for the creature as well, which is pretty fun.
Oh, really? He was on like green screen
not all
with
of
the
it.
suit?
Yeah.
That'd be a cool job.
Yeah, not all of it, but he did some.
I know someone that does that for a job. It looks really cool. I see photos every now and then with him with dots all over his body and in lycra suits.
Yeah,
looks very interesting.
Yeah, the man cancelling suits, as Mark Ruffalo calls it whenever he has to do it for the Hulk.
Man cancelling. That's crazy. In the Hulk, he just mans up big time. Like what I did there. Okay, let's go.
All right, so we'll jump. While we're here, we may as well jump straight into the characters.
Yeah.
Because there's some really interesting nuances to this family unit, and I love the way that it's constructed. But we'll get into that in the writing. So we'll talk about John Krasinski himself first, who plays Lee Abbott, or the father. Mm-hmm. And he's a wonderful character. He's resourceful, smart, handsome, a loving father and husband. Tell me, Terence, how were you able to relate to this character?
Handsome. Well, you kind of... Oh, look, he... you just nailed it. Did you say handsome? Yeah, I mean...
I did.
Any character that's a father is immediately going to have any dad align with them. You know, and especially if the family is in danger, then every father in the real world, whether they've had to protect their family or not, is going to align with them within their fantasy or within their deepest fears or within something they've actually had to do. So, you know, that's about it with his intention. I can align with his intention because I don't have any ingenuity that can build radios and fix hearing aids. He couldn't fix hearing aids either, but he could try. I don't know how to solder things or weld or use an angle grinder. I
think just before if we get any hate, I think that it's a cochlear implant, not a hearing aid.
Cochlear implant.
Just in case there are any
thank you.
hearing impaired or deaf people who are doing subtitles on YouTube. I'm pretty sure they're done automatically.
Yeah.
Or we might have them put in at some point on our own regard. But yeah, I
do
believe it's
automatically.
A cochlear implant.
Cochlear implant. It attaches to Millie. Millie has one and it attaches to her head, which is pretty cool. So to be able to work on something like that would freak me out. I would be so scared of just wrecking the whole thing. But I guess if in times like that, when there is no other option, of course, you're going to learn it. You're going to read the books. He obviously didn't know either. But...
resourceful enough.
Yeah, I'd like to think that I would be able to do that and go to those extremes for my family. Absolutely.
I'm sure you would. I have no doubt in my mind that you would absolutely be able to do something like that if you were living in a post-apocalyptic world where there was nothing else to do.
And I have thought about that many, many times. So now I know other things to do. Learn how to solder things.
Yep.
Yeah, all right. So his character, I could align with him. Could you align with him?
Yeah, I think the movie sets him up really well as the patriarch and the head of the family, and yeah, as we sort of talked about before a little bit with that opening scene that we're definitely going to talk about a little bit later in a section we call "What About When," the tragedy that this whole family, but the father goes through. And the grief and loss that he's in, it just permeates his entire character and the entire film. It's only set over the course of a couple of days, this movie. But yeah, you feel it through the entire thing that he is just carrying the weight of this loss the entire way. And it's a brilliant performance by John Krasinski.
I've only seen him in The Office, to be honest. I haven't seen any of the Jack Ryan films or shows or anything like that. So it was really... I didn't know how I would take it, but I think not hearing him speak much really, really helped. Because whenever he opens his mouth, in any interview that I've seen, I just can't get his Office character out of my head. And that's what happens when you're in a series for 10 years, something like that, you know. And it's a series that I binge all the time. So he is in my head as this totally different person. He did an amazing job. I mean, he bulked up. I guess he bulked for his other roles as well. So he looks quite different. His persona is very different. The beard helps. But he he shows a lot. He has a really good acting brow.
I was literally going to say his like deep scowl that he has is just amazing.
Really
like he needs to put some insurance on his forehead, I think, because it is an amazing look.
He does. His eyes are great. He really has this fear, and then he's so caring as well. It was just difficult,
very loving.
Difficult at the beginning to not see it, but it didn't take long at all. It was that first scene when he walked into the supermarket, and I knew who it was, even though the character was kind of silhouetted. He was way in the background when Millie's character was. I think she just caught the spaceship from falling off the shelf. She just caught
the toy.
She caught the toy, and he turned up, and I knew that was him. And the way that he was portrayed just in that moment was, quite heroic, I think, even though you didn't see much detail, but just the way he was so calmly announced in the background, legs shoulder width apart, his arms just apart, and he was so calm and just watching. He was always there. He's like a guardian, that was what I felt. So it was really nice to see this role, which I don't think was too dissimilar to his role in The Office in terms of the caring, loving dad that he is. Which I really enjoyed watching him in this film because of that. I think it'd be different to see him in an action role. But I'm really keen on watching them. I want to see how he plays them.
I would absolutely love to see him. We did an episode 10, we did Iron Man, the first film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I would love to see him get rolled into that as Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards, the leader of the Fantastic Four.
Is he really going to do that?
No, he's not cast at the time of recording this. Nothing's been announced, but there has been murmurs of this for years and years, and I for one would be so on board with that. And whilst we have absolutely zero sway on any of these decisions here at the Movie Calendar, I'm going to put it out into the universe right now that I want that to happen. If you look at images of Reed Richards in the comics, in the modern comics, like, he is John Krasinski, and I want to see it so badly. So please make it happen.
Yeah, all right, that's good. I'll put my good vibes out there for that.
Thank you. Yeah, no, brilliant. And another thing about him and how good his performance is in this, and we'll say this about everybody in this cast, is that they have really good fear faces. Like, the terror that they can show is excellent. And he has one really early on where, young Bo, the youngest of the children, comes out in the pharmacy, and he's got that toy, and the fear that the father has on his face, that Lee has, is just like, it looks like you don't see what he's got. You look like he's holding a bomb. Well, it looks like he's got that.
Yeah, they're all kind of scared. I got to say, I wasn't sure. I mean, that was the goal of his directing. We have to keep hidden what he's holding. I thought it was something like, having done Alien, I knew there was an alien in this. I thought, the way the kid's arms were down, I thought there was something birthing out of his gut or something. This little kid, they're going to sacrifice him early. And when I saw what it was, I'm like, oh, good, the kid's safe. Oh, phew. Until a few moments later when you see him pick up the batteries off the ledge. Yeah. Not even the fact that Millie gives him... Millie? I want to call her Millie all the time. Reagan,
Millie, that's fine.
His big sister. Not even the fact that she gives him the toy. That was all right, but then he
with the sweetest of intentions as well. Like, how was she to know what was going to happen?
No, she wasn't.
Then the poor thing carries that with her as well. Should we talk about Millie?
Well, let's
Millie
talk about
Simmons.
Let's talk about her character.
I almost regret not talking about her first, to be honest, because she is the absolute standout for me in this film. She is just wonderful. And I can't wait to see her again in the sequel, which has been pushed back. Was supposed to come out in March or April this year, but has been pushed back. But yeah, I can't wait to see her do more things. Her character is just so well realized, and again, suffering from that same trauma and grief that the father has. Only she thinks that she's the cause of what happens. The tragedy happens to the family. And pulls it off incredibly well. And kudos to John Krasinski and the team behind this film for casting an actor who is deaf or hearing impaired. that was a big thing that John wanted after reading the script, was like, we have to have someone for that, because we will be able to learn so much from them and the life that they've led, and B, like, it's that representation. And you don't have to go far on the internet to find reviews that have been written by people who are deaf or hearing impaired that just feel so seen and love this film, because that they for the maybe even the first time have seen themselves portrayed in film by someone who is that the character is.
Yeah, and such a real character. You know, it wasn't playing on that inability to hear. It was playing the part of a daughter who carried the guilt of being responsible for the death of her little brother. You know, and they didn't use that at all. I mean, it was a component in the story, absolutely, but they didn't use that as the excuse to do it. So, you know, it was nice. I think it was really good with the story, with the writing of the story, that this enabled the family to live as long as it did. You know, that they could sign was brilliant. It was brilliant.
Yeah, like, it wasn't... Sorry.
I wonder how many other families made it to get that far as well. You know, I mean, obviously there's a sequel out to this film, or there will be a sequel out to this film. So I guess we'll find out if there are other families, and if they also have people who are hard of hearing in their families as well. But it really helps the rest of the family to empathise and see the importance of how to communicate. And I guess at this point, and I know we're still talking about characters, but I'm going to lose this thought if I don't say it now.
Go for it.
The effectiveness of their communication with signing kind of, I don't want to use the word inappropriately, but juxtaposes the fact that they were not able to communicate effectively in the way that they felt.
No, that's fine. That's perfect.
Led to, well, it didn't lead to everything that happened, but definitely added to the tension that grew throughout the film, and the breakdown of this family unit between the eldest daughter and the father, and the effects that had on the rest of the family, the stress that it created, the lack of trust, the seeming loss of love that the daughter felt that her father didn't have for her anymore, all those kinds of things. It was just a realization that I had after watching another. Wow. Yeah,
it was a good pickup. And whilst we're diving into the kind of the writing section of the pod, I'll dive in as well to do with Millie's character. The fact that she is deaf or hearing impaired doesn't define her as a character. That's not her only thing.
Yeah.
Like, it hasn't just been put in there as a gimmick. Like, it is so integral to the story, and she's got so much more going on as a character other than just that. Like, she wants to be, like, she's such an independent character as well. She wants more responsibility. She knows that she can help, and she's resourceful. She's very much her father's daughter, and he's just not letting her go off and do these things. Like, he's taking the youngest son out because, well, the reality of the situation is he does have his hearing, and so he needs to train his son up to become, you know,
the protector,
more resourceful and less afraid, and we'll talk about his character in just a moment. But like, that's what his defining characteristics are. You know, he's self-conscious, he's dependent on his family. Like, he doesn't have those traits that the daughter has. I love the fact that she is just more than one thing and not defined by her disability.
And she's so caring in the opening scene with her little brother Bo, how he signs the way that they can escape is with the rocket, and she congratulates him on his signing ability. She says, "Well done, good job," you know. So she's so loving, and she's got so much to give, and how amazing would it be? She feels that she's got absolute value in this world, that it's probably through her that the family can sign, that they're able to stay alive this long and not have to talk and give away their position.
Yeah, incredible. Some people I've sort of seen online that this is kind of shoehorned in a little bit, but the fact that they make her, you know, disability the reason why they can defeat the creatures, I think is incredible. It becomes her superpower, and I'm totally on board for it and all here.
Is that her ability to do it, or is it just faulty hardware?
regardless of it, still the fact that she has a condition, a disability that requires her to have this device that ends up being what saves them and can kill the creatures, is completely done from her disability, and I think that's very powerful.
Yeah, she now has an extra ability. Very cool. Well, that's Reagan.
Yep.
That's Reagan's character. And of course, she has a complete 180 at the end with realizations of how much her father actually did love her and how she looks at her mother at the end when they're like, yep, in that very last shot, we got this.
Love it.
That was a very cool way to end. All right, so that was Reagan Abbott. Should we talk about the brother, Marcus?
Yes.
And then we'll go to
Noah Jupe.
Noah Jupe. I kept typing, whenever I was typing things on Insta and everything, I kept writing Duke. I thought, why doesn't anything come up? What? That's not the same guy. Noah Jupe. Sorry, Noah.
Yep.
All right, let's talk about his
character. Tremendous young actor.
He had a great face too.
Yeah, amazing. If you haven't seen, there's a film by, I think it's Almar Harrell, Honey Boy, which was based off Shia LaBeouf's life. He plays like a young Shia LaBeouf. He's incredible in that.
Yeah.
And when he was cast in this, John Krasinski he called up George Clooney, as you do, because George had just recently worked with Noah Jupe on Suburbicon, who he directed that film, which I haven't seen, so I don't really know what that one's like. And his advice to John was just, however many hours in the day you've got set for filming, shave an hour off it because he's going to save you time. He's that good.
Whoa.
And John was like, and he was right. Like, this kid is just incredible. He one takes so many things. Like, the first take is the best. They'll do another for safety, but other than that, the kid just crushes it. So yeah, huge endorsement for him. I think he's going to go a lot of places. He's wonderful.
Noah Jupe. I will not get his name wrong again. Wow. Yeah. He had a lot of terrifying scenes to be a part of. And then the step up scene as well, he has to run and set the rockets off and all that.
The rockets.
Just, that's when he's like, yep, I can do this. I love that shot where they're standing in the doorway and the lights are red, and Lee holds him and he goes, you can do this. And he's like, yep, I got this.
Yep.
And he goes for his bolt.
You have to,
through the
your mother needs you. You have to save your mother.
Oh, yeah, really, really sweet, hard, difficult moment to be a part of. But also when they're in the woods and the dad grabs him as they run because the old man screams, and they're up against that tree, just his face just says it all.
His eyes.
They just go tight on his expression. And when you hear the alien doing this little crackly sound, how he just blocks his ears, it was just...
Yeah,
it was great. I was like right there with him. When he blocked his ears, that's what made it real for me as well. Yeah.
Now his character, on the other hand, is as much as Noah Jupe is an incredible young actor.
Oh yeah.
Now at the beginning of the film, they're in the pharmacy and they're getting medicine for him.
Yeah.
So
he's sick.
I was kind of expecting there to be more of that, and they might explore a little bit more in the sequel. But yeah, does he suffer from some kind of illness or affliction that was maybe only affecting him in that moment, or is it something that sort of permeates his person?
Look, I don't know. I think he was physically ill, because I think the mother says something to Reagan later on, says, "Oh, he's okay now. He's okay."
Yeah.
So I would even go so far as saying he was just sick. He wasn't well. He was physically unwell. He had to be carried. She went to the prescription medicines and went through the prescription bottles to see what was right for him. So I don't know. Maybe he just needed some painkiller or some ibuprofen. I don't know.
That would be really interesting if he did have some kind of illness, because the movie only takes place, as we said, over a couple of days. So maybe he was just fine for those couple of days. If there is something that is wrong with him that they might explore in the future films, that could add a little bit of urgency in the script. Not that you need any more in this world, because it's just absolutely just tense and harrowing the entire time.
Look, I have a feeling it could have just been the
a one-off,
the mechanic that allowed them to be in the pharmacy.
Yeah, fair. That's fair. But he's also like the character is just he's constantly scared. As we mentioned, he's dependent on his family. He's self-conscious. He feels so much pressure as well, especially from his father, to kind of grow up so fast to be able to take care of the family if anything ever happens. And I also really love his relationship with his sister. I think it's beautiful how much they care for each other.
Yeah, that's what every dad wants, that for their siblings, for their children to get on with each other as siblings. I don't think that was a far stretch. I know that's not what you're saying, but I really like that as well. A lot of films will go to the play on the disagreements that the brother and the sister have with each other. But I think in a post-apocalyptic climate, I think a lot of those things flatten themselves out in nearly everything that I've seen, whether it be a zombie film or whatever. All of a sudden, everyone realizes, what we were worried about, that doesn't matter. We need to help each other and be friends, and we're family. So I love you. That's it. They have a nice respect for each other. I like how he, again, stepped up when he was out with his dad there by the river, and he confronts his dad about it, and he goes, do you blame her? That shows a lot of what he felt for his sister. That he would really go in and bat for her. And
that's a really nice scene between those two.
Yeah. They're quite similar in age as well. So, why not? I think he's been struggling with this kind of being a third wheel or fourth wheel or whatever, however many wheel, that's a useless wheel. He might carry some guilt as well for being sick that day, and that's why his dad had to carry him, And if his dad wasn't carrying him, you play that what-if game in your head, which, of course, the mother does. Yeah,
especially when you're that young. But, the mother, played by the amazing Emily Blunt, Evelyn Abbott. For those who don't know, John Krasinski, Emily Blunt, there might be some people who don't know this that are listening or watching. They're married in real life. They are a real life couple. Well done to John Krasinski for punching so far above his weight that he's almost hitting the moon. Well done to you, sir. I tip my hat and congratulations.
No, I was doing a Breakfast Club punch to the air.
Yes. Very good. Freeze frame.
Yeah, I reckon he's punching. Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Which he has said, he's not that bad looking himself, to be honest. He's a gorgeous human being in his own right.
So we're moving on to Emily Blunt's character, Evelyn Abbott.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Actually, sorry. Before we do, very quickly on Noah Jupe and Millicent, Millie, their relationship in real life. I know Terence loves hearing about these things when people get along really well on set. So this one's just for Terence. They had a really beautiful relationship making this film together and became the best of friends. Noah was actually able to pick up, in Australia we call it Auslan signing. I think it's called ASL or American Sign Language in the US. But he was able to pick it up faster than anybody else who was learning at the time. And so they would just do most of their communication just through that, rather than through the interpreter that they had on the set. And so I was watching an interview with Millie, and she was saying how much she loved him and loved spending time with him on set, and how heartbreaking it was when they had to wrap and they were separated. It was horrible for everyone. Apparently John Krasinski felt terrible directing their last scene and then having to be like, that's it, we're all done, you have to separate now.
Wow. Well, look, if they're good friends, they will stay in touch, and they will,
I'm sure they have.
Later in their life, they'll do everything they can to work together again.
And they got to make a sequel together, so they got back together.
Oh, yeah, of course. Of course. I keep forgetting about this bloody sequel. Yep. Yes, all right. Okay. All right, that's really cool. Hey, I'm going to also mention I'd never seen A Quiet Place, and I'd only seen like one trailer back a couple of years ago when it had come out. So within a week from recording this, that was when I saw it for the first time, which was a really nice, not surprise, but I did look on IMDb looking for a photo to post on Instagram. I saw photos of the alien, and I'm like, what? Is there like a full alien in this? So a few spoilers, but I managed to compartmentalize that and not make it ruin my experience. But so okay, I don't know where that came from. That was just out of the. Just want to get it out there as well. No,
that's fine.
All right, let's keep moving. Talk about our
Emily Blunt.
Our Emily Blunt. We'll call her our Emily.
Yeah. Why not?
Why should
Nothing
John
to do with Australia.
Get to just have Emily all to himself? She is now shared by everyone in the world. I loved her in A Devil Wears Prada. It's
so great.
Pretty much the only thing I can remember that I've seen her in.
She's done Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise.
I've seen that. Yes, I loved her in that too.
She's excellent in that. And she was Mary Poppins in Mary Poppins Returns, which is very sweet as well.
But have seen the trailers. Big fan of the original Mary Poppins. And Sound of Music,
it's a
by
good
the way,
one.
for all of you Julie Andrews fans out there. Yeah, so Evelyn Abbott. Okay, first time we see her is in the opening scene. I just want to mention this as well. She's going through the prescription bottles. Is she a doctor or a midwife?
It's never explained in the film, but I would absolutely be certain that she is some kind of medical health professional or was in a previous life at some point.
Yeah.
The fact that she has a stethoscope and knows how to use it, that she can check her own blood pressure, she knows what medications to look for. I would absolutely say that she's some form of medical professional in one way or another.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people will argue that they can... I mean, I know a lot of people that take their own blood pressure as well, but to be able to chart it correctly and understand what it's meant to do and how to project your own due date from a pregnancy when you can't get exact details from a sonogram.
Well, she wasn't that good at it, apparently.
Well, that'll lead us into another conversation later on about the...
What was she jotting down her blood pressure results on? What was it?
I think it was some sort of date recording device, something high tech, Gregorian of nature.
That dates are shown on. It was a really interesting thing to see for us.
If only it had a name. Is it?
No, so weird.
Wall hanging book with rectangles on it. It was pretty cool when I saw her doing that. I was like, a calendar!
He texted me. Terence literally texted me and was like, "There's a calendar in this film." It was so cute.
Maybe we should open the episode with the squeaky Sharpie pen writing on the calendar.
I've no idea. We haven't decided what sound effect we're going to put at the opening of this film, what sound bite, if any, because the movie is just so quiet, which we'll talk about in just a minute. But yes, to Emily Blunt as the mother, she is funny and caring, loving, strong, and protective are the words that I've written down for her. Mm-hmm. The humor that she has about herself. When her husband calls her beautiful, and she just sort of does the cheeks out like I'm really fat. He's like, I didn't say anything, and then has a laugh at herself. And their relationship is gorgeous. And
my wife did those kind of things as well. You know.
Yeah.
Oh. Because when she was pregnant, she felt fat. You know, sometimes. But I know she loved being pregnant. She loved the pregnancy stage as well. But a lot of women really feel unable to do anything, let alone look pretty. So it's really nice to have a partner that you know can admire her for the beauty that she is. So you're right. That was a sweet moment there as well.
It helps that they're married in real life, but you really feel the love between them on screen, which isn't as easy to pull off as you think, whether you're an actual real life couple or not. Like it's hard to have chemistry on in front of a camera together, and they do it so well, and it's so natural for them. I really hope they stay together for a long time. They're super cute.
Yeah, they're good. All right, so
she's so strong as well. I mean, it really comes to the fore in the second half of this film, where we try not to swear too much on this podcast, but where just shit hits the fan from pretty much the exact midway point until the credits roll, and she just, like, from her water breaking to then her going into labor and contractions, and then the what about when that we're going to talk about on the stairs, to just the monster creature being in the house. Like, it just she goes through so much stuff and takes it all in stride and is obviously fearful for her life and the life of her baby. But she's just, she doesn't get paralyzed by it. She's got this strength that just lets her push on, get through, have to be protective of my family. And yeah, she has this drive, and it's awesome. She's so badass.
Yeah, she is. I couldn't believe how silent she was able to be, and I don't know how close to truth this is, but you know, every mother that is going through labor is going to experience it differently. Here we go, a guy talking about childbirth, but you know,
we're sorry.
You see in the news, you hear about it, that a woman will sometimes. I've heard a couple of times in my lifetime that a woman will go to the toilet and give birth on the toilet and not even realize that they were in labor. You know, so everyone will go through something different. Those circumstances are crazy, crazy out of the norm. But to be able to just, you know, be silent right through the labor pains like that, it was just the whole time I was there. I couldn't believe it.
Not to like justify it in any way, but like when your life is on the line and you can't, that kind of heightens it as well. But I have a,
and not just your own life.
Exactly. Like I chatted with a doctor friend of mine about this film, because I was kind of asking, you know, how would it be possible for a baby to be born and not cry instantly? Because everything you see, I've never seen a birth, but everything you see, you know, obviously movies and documentaries and things, like the baby comes out and it's crying, and my friend, she just went through a whole list of things that could happen where a baby is just not crying for a while after they're born. Like it's, and she said something really interesting where in medicine, anything is possible. Like it's, they never rule anything out. So everything that happens in this film will just be an anomaly that is the reason why it happened. It's just that case of it happening at that time. So justify it or don't justify it, get angry about it in any way you like. It's medically possible for it to happen. Yeah,
I think anyone that has had a child, that's not something that's being questioned in the film. Some babies are quiet, some babies scream, some have to be rushed away because something's not right, you know. So one of the things that was mentioned was when she's in the bathtub and her feet come into view in that awesome shot. Her feet come down the bath, and then the stream of blood comes down from between her legs. Yeah. Such an incredible scene. The bleeding at that point before the child is born would indicate that there is something wrong. So that could be a reason as to why the baby wasn't crying when it came out. There might have been a complication. Wow. You know, that shot was an amazing shot, not to take anything away from the actual topic that we're talking about within that shot in terms of the childbirth. But, you know, I noticed a detail that was really weird. Her toe had this chunk of dirt hanging off it as well, like this fluff dirt. And I thought, wow.
I didn't see it.
It was so dirty and horrific, this scene, enough that, you know, adding this clump of dirt from an unvacuumed floor for years.
Which foot was it? Was it the blood covered foot?
I actually can't remember, but it looked like it was unrelated.
Okay,
but just it gives you an idea of the situation, of the panic, of the distress that she's under. And you're right, that shot was just so beautiful, the way it kind of just moved over the top and the blood came, and the chain, you know, I was thinking she was going to touch the chain on the bath, you know, everything on me was just heightened, everything. But I wasn't, of course everyone was thinking, oh my God, a baby's going to come in and start screaming. But the fact that it didn't, it was just like, oh my God, she's so lucky that baby didn't scream. That's it, and just hope that it was okay, you know.
Amazing performance from her as well. That whole scene in the bath was done in one take. The shot of her, the giving birth shot, where it pans slowly up to her screaming when the fireworks go off, was done in one take. So the scene had finished, and then there was silence on set for about 10 seconds before John just went, well, that's lunch, because he knew that there was no point in doing another take. Like, they had it. That was it. It was all done. It's time to wrap up for the day.
Do they have kids in real life?
Yes, he had just become a father, I think, at the beginning of the filming of this. So,
oh my God,
he brought
brought
all of that into his role,
and she's just gone through all of that. Wow. Yep. Well, I hope that
would have been fun to relive.
I hope she had as nice an experience that a mother could have with the birth of her real child. I really do, because to act that out, oh man, that would cause trauma. I nearly don't want my wife to watch this film because of the trauma that is experienced in the film. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard some horror stories.
Yeah, but she does so well, and I think only someone that's gone through anything like that can give a real portrayal of what it's like to go through that. The stepping on the nail.
Oh, I was trying to avoid saying the words.
We can't.
No.
We have to. You know, even the
so
swiping of the kid at the start. You know, they're the biggest things that happen in the film. We can't ignore them. But the way she just holds that scream in, unbelievable. She, you know, you talked about her being fearless as well. And she, you know, how she backs into the water.
Oh, in the
with
water,
child.
yeah.
Knowing, you know, she's intelligent, very smart, knowing to go back and be hidden by the sound, and just to be so strong and still, even though the baby is making these little cute gurgling, you know, whiny sounds. I couldn't look away, Lee. I couldn't look away. I had to...
It's so intense.
I wanted to take notes. Every time I watch a film, I'm sitting there with my phone and I'll jot a few things down. But I realised in the first 10 seconds of this movie, I couldn't look away. Otherwise, I'd miss not only some dialogue, but something crucial. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a good point. We might just before we move into, I might roll world building and writing into the one section, just to save a bit of time. But before we do, just one last thing on the incredible Emily Blunt and how she was cast in this film.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you know or not, but
I know. He said, "Who should I cast?" Oh, my wife.
No, it was very much not that at all. So when this sort of came across into John Krasinski's eye line, essentially, he was kind of pitching ideas and stuff to her at home, and she was like, "Oh yeah, this is good, this is not so good," and she was giving advice as to what actors should play Evelyn in the film, and he was like, "Oh, that's good. Yeah, I'll write that down. I'll write her name down. And then they were on a flight heading to somewhere or another where he was going to, like a pitch meeting or something for the film with the producers and with all the ideas that he'd had, and he had the script and it was finished on this flight, and Emily was coming along as well, and she was like, "Can I just read the finished script?" And she read it on the flight, the entire thing from start to finish, and before the plane lands, she says, "You cannot cast anyone other than me in this film." And so the plane landed, and he went into the meeting, and he said, "Oh, and by the way, my wife is playing my wife in the film."
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, and even the writers, like the writers of the original script, Brian Woods and Scott Beck, were like, "Oh, like we'd love to, like we see the character as like an Emily Blunt type. We could never get her, but that's who we're thinking of when we're writing the script." So that's always fun.
Oh, that's perfect. Oh, this film has lots of really nice moments that happen behind the camera. This is good. Oh, what a sweet film.
Yeah, a sweet horror thriller.
Wow.
Yeah, they sound like they had a great time making it.
Yeah. Lots of tomato sauce and chocolate syrup being thrown around the place.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's really nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into more about the film. Can you believe how long we've been talking for about these characters?
The characters, they're so. I honestly thought that I've written like 17 words on the characters, but yeah, it's
No, we've been
it's so they're
we've
so
been
good.
talking about other things as well. All right, so world building.
True. The world building and writing.
All right, let's do it.
So we'll mix these two in together. Like from the opening scene in the pharmacy supermarket, and then onto the bridge, right before the credits, the title card comes up. Like, you learn pretty much everything you need to know in that scene. The visual storytelling in that whole sort of set piece, essentially, is just incredible and second to none. Like, you learn about the family unit, what their relationships are like, starting with the film with is it day 89?
Yes.
Like, you know that something has happened, but you don't know what yet. You see the flicker of the newspaper, like it's sound. You learn that things that are loud are dangerous. You don't know why yet. And then you do very soon after, when they're walking home, and that monstrous tragedy happens where they lose their youngest child because of a sound that's made, and then bang, we're in the world, and we jump to day, was it 472? Like, the world building is just so exceptionally well done, and that's all in the script. The writers of this film, aside from just having an incredible concept, they execute it so perfectly well. Nothing is wasted.
You know, in this supermarket scene, I was writing down... I watched it twice. One gobsmacked, and the other one semi-gobsmacked still and writing notes. And I wrote down how weird it was in the supermarket. You know, the world has been able to kind of see what things are like when people panic and panic buy and things go off the shelves. And I thought, some of the shelves are totally empty. The refrigerators, totally empty. But some of the other shelves are packed with food items. And I thought, why? This is ridiculous. And just when you said that, then it clicked in me. Most of the items that were still on the shelves were packet chips. Like crisps. The noisiest things in the world to eat. Oh, I feel so satisfied with myself.
Good job.
Wow.
Well done.
Thank you. That wasn't patronizing at all.
That happened a lot. No, definitely not. That happened a lot in movie theaters as well. Like, I was very fortunate to see this, taking a quick tangent out of world building and writing for a second to tell a personal story. Sorry if you've clicked on the time code to hear about those things, but if I don't do it now, I'll forget. But no, I was very fortunate enough to see this movie in a packed cinema. Like, no seat. There was people, like, I was literally sitting on a beanbag up the front. That the cinema that I go to had these giant beanbags, and I was sitting in there. And it was opening weekend. No one really knew anything about the film, and so of course everyone had snacks and things with them. But the movie teaches you, so early on that, like, you can't be making any sounds in this film whatsoever. And so they like, the movie ends. And, like, everyone just looks down at their drinks and they're, like, full packets of chips. And then, of course, like, unclenches their fingers off their chairs and takes, like, a sigh of relief.
And everyone starts opening their chips.
And then, okay, now I can eat. Like, the movie literally finished. The credits started. And I turned to my friend. And we just sort of looked at each other in silence with our, like, mouths agape. And I turned around and looked at the entire cinema behind me, and everyone just had the exact same expression on their face of just, I can't believe that we all just collectively went through this together. It was incredible. Hopefully they re-release it or something, or it's a similar experience with the sequel. Because if you get a chance to see this in a packed movie theater, the time might be gone now, but it is just truly incredible. It was one of the best cinema moments of my life. It was so good.
Wow. Okay. Well, that was a good realization. You know what? Same cinema, same supermarket. I also had this similar thought line. They're sitting in the pharmaceutical area, and on the wooden shelves where Noah's character is leaned up, feeling unwell, there are a couple of bottles of, like, it looks like medicine on the walls. Just a couple. The shelves are pretty bare. But Evelyn's character goes up for the prescription drugs. And there are a whole heap of prescription drug bottles there. Oh, let's choose. I'm thinking, hang on, if this is 3 months in, all the prescription drugs would be off the shelves. They weren't even back in a safe or anything. I've seen enough zombie flicks to know that the drugs are the first thing to go. So I'm thinking, hey, what is going on here? But
no, it all happened so fast.
Well, I wrote exactly that down. I wrote, it must have happened so fast, because the last newspaper that's printed in this town is It's Sound.
Yeah.
It's almost like a revelation, like, oh, we found out what it was. Let's tell everyone really loudly so no one makes any noise.
In a little bit of ham-fisted exposition through the visual storytelling, I must admit. But, you know, it's fine. I don't think it had to be there. I think the actors get it across well enough that sound is a thing that should be avoided.
Yeah, but I think
so. Yeah,
they
little things like that I wasn't.
But they
a big
were
fan
used to help realize why the rest of the town is the way it is.
Yeah, I guess
To help people like me.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fair enough. But yeah, just like going from that to then like the writing is so good. Going from that moment on the bridge to then cutting to 472 days. It's just,
oh my God,
like wow, like what is this family looking like now? And then finding out that the wife and the mother is pregnant is just like what.
Done
like,
in such
accidents happen. I get it. Or are they trying to like? Is there a trauma there that they're trying, like a hole that they feel in that family unit that they're trying to fill again? Or did they feel at a point where they were like, let's try and have another kid? Were they feeling really safe? Like there hadn't been any sightings of creatures for ages. And they're like, let's do it. And then all hell breaks loose at the same time. It's interesting. Like that's what I mean by the world building just feels so well realized and so well lived in. Like it exists. It's tangible. I completely understand it through the lens of the family unit that we're given.
Could be. I hope it was accidents happen, because why would you plan to have a child in that environment, especially the noise situation? Like that's unbelievable. I think it was really well done the way that they revealed the belly bump. I thought that was super special, and I could, the way she steps up to hang an item on the mobile, and
so gorgeous.
I could imagine, because I did this in my seat watching this all by myself with my family asleep upstairs. I can imagine the cinema go, oh, no, she's pregnant, and a little hush of, oh, she's pregnant.
It was like, oh no, like what are you gonna do?
I could imagine that as a collective, there would have been a gasp in the crowd. Oh, man.
But like they were preparing for it. Like they'd built essentially a bunker, a shelter that was soundproof, or that they were soundproofing. It hadn't been finished yet. Like they were still working on it. They thought they had a couple more weeks.
Cool. With the kids pasting the magazine
news clippings
pages
on the wall.
Yes, and the little baby coffin. I mean, crib.
Yeah, the baby coffin.
Wow,
I think it's
so weird.
What's really good about the writing as well, and just how well this movie is paced and structured, is that we get to live a day in the life of the family before all of the bad things start to happen. Yeah. Like that, because we see day 472, and then day 473 is where things just all really happen. So we get to spend like a 24-hour period with them to see how they operate, see how they live, see how they prepare their meals.
Yes.
See how the kids like to play. See how much the husband and wife sort of love each other, and take these little moments to listen to music with headphones and dance, and see him working on all of the things to try and help his daughter.
And communicate with the outside world.
Exactly.
They haven't lost hope.
Yep. Like it just makes it so much more connected, makes us so much more connected to them.
Yeah.
So that when it does all happen and all go to hell, we care about it.
Yeah.
Because there's no point in having all that stuff happen if we don't care.
Yeah.
It's really, really well done.
And there are a few shots that they did really well also. It was almost like a computer game, in the sense that you needed to know what your map was, what was the environment we were working in, how can we defeat this monster, and the first shot, when it was the 472nd day, there's a shot of Reagan's character top down, and she's laying on the sand, and then she sits upright, and the camera is side on, looking at her in profile. And I really liked this shot, because this shot revealed the mother walking towards her in the background. She's carrying a basket of food. And as she walks and does a 90-degree turn behind her toward the house, the camera pans around Reagan and shows the mother walking up the scene. It was nice to show that, especially there, because that was such an integral part of how the film plays out, and how the most terrifying moments come to pass in that cornfield. So it shows you that they've mapped out with sand tracks to the most important parts of the property. They did another one with the son, with Marcus's character, with Noah's character, walking from the truck to the house. He jumps out of the truck, walks home, and the camera's in front of him. Camera walks backwards as he's walking towards the camera. The camera kind of ducks to the side and lets him walk past the frame and go down. He doesn't stop, he just keeps walking and walks down into the bunker. So that paints the world really nicely as well. You're like, oh, he's walking home. Where is he going? There's a mattress on the floor. Oh man, here we go. So those two little techniques, I didn't see them do those shots in many other places, but I really liked the way that they did it, and they did it around the two children as well. Those
established where everything is.
Yeah.
So you have some kind of bearing when it's dark and you don't know what's happening.
Yeah. I wanted to find out, that you said this happened so fast. One of the things for me that was a little bit of it wasn't a deal breaker for the film. In fact, there are quite a number of deal breakers in this film. They could have been deal breakers if it wasn't such a captivating storyline. Was the sand, the idea of walking on the sand. I think it was kind of cool in theory. I don't think it would have been silent. I think it would have been louder than just walking on the ground with bare feet. Also, it was only 3 months. Like, how much time would it have taken to lay these perfect sand trails? The ground was wet, which means it rained, but there was this perfect dry sand that went all the way back to their home. Little things like that, I'm thinking, what? Why go to the bother of telling the story like that when it's obvious that wouldn't have happened? Sand around the property, okay. But yeah, I think that was one of the things that let the reality of it a bit down in my mind, especially with seeing that he only had a backpack that he was using to pour sand everywhere. That was one of the things. Anyway, what else do you want to talk about with the world? Oh, I've got something else.
The world building and writing, I think there's only one real thing that I don't really like aside from that newspaper at the start, and it's the whiteboard of exposition in the basement. Yeah, it has the creatures and weaknesses and how many, and it's like it's all so big and bold, and it's been done to death. Everyone's talked about it and how kind of silly it is, and the daughter looking at the end and like, what is the weakness? ? ! And she's like, oh, I know, like. To have her figure it out on her own, which she does by reading the board, but her, realizing maybe a different way. I don't know how to do it. I'm not a writer, but the whiteboard of exposition, I think, is not the best part of the movie.
Well, look, they had to jump a whole, was a 390 odd days, so they had to fill us in somehow. I didn't mind that. I was glad. I thought, I don't have to work too much of this stuff out. I know there's 3 of them. I know that they're armored. Great. Now let's get to the good bits. I didn't mind it.
That's fair.
But I did like all the newspaper clippings. I did pause it the second time, and I was looking and reading them all, like death toll in Shanghai and meteorite hits Mexico, and I thought, oh, okay, cool. Yes, like that. I like those sensationalized headings. The last one that I read, I had to write it down. President leads nation in prayer in final telecast. I thought, oh, that's pretty big. I don't know. It made me giggle a little bit.
I'm not touching on that because I've got so many things I want to say, and I'm just not going to.
It made me giggle. But there was, I've got a few questions about it, but I'm not going to my questions. I might do a quick fire questions towards the end.
I also love, before we just jump onto the next bit, I love how the movie ends as well, just with like that the cock of the shotgun is just so great, and then credits, marvelous.
Oh, so good that the two girls, and they just look at each other and they're like, yep. And you just haven't heard anything. Marcus's character, Noah's character, Marcus, just sitting there with this baby watching this whole thing, just trying to the poor kid. You got the two heroes.
He's going to have some trauma in the next film.
Oh my, it's his turn now. He kind of got off lightly. All
right. So very quickly we'll jump into the creature design itself, and just the creature. It's definitely worth a mention because it's one for the ages for me, at least. I think it's up there with the Xenomorph for me. I have no issues in saying it. I think it's wonderful. Check out our Alien episode to hear us wax lyrical about that one for a good length of time. But what do you think about the creature and the design of it?
Oh, I loved it. I loved its long legs and long arms, very insectivorous, very kind of crustacean-like as well. I got a sense of a bit of a crab claw. And an ant, kind of armored ant's forelimb. just watching it in that scene, watching it run when the father is running back on the bridge, and when he turns his head quickly to get an idea of where this creature is and tracking it through, that was unbelievable. And they kept this realism right through, and the movement of this character was unbelievable. The limbs that kind of double extend, just that give it this incredible reach when it runs.
Yeah.
And that's obviously one of its massive strengths: its speed, its strength, and its uncanny, crazy ability to hear. But when its head opens up, holy moly!
Yeah, reveals all of the sort of the. It's kind of like armor shells just kind of open up. It was inspired by John Krasinski wanted a lot of aquatic animal inspiration for it. So like the crab claws and the way that it's the armor on its head moves is kind of like a school of fish, where they all kind of move in unison.
And they kind of listen, but they're all independent of each other.
Exactly. So that was kind of the inspiration from there. With that scene on the bridge, actually no, we'll do that in What About When.
And there's a bit of a mother of pearl on the inside as well, like the sheen of the inside of a shell, very inside much of the ear. On the inside there, yeah, like highly receptive to vibration. Yeah.
Having the huge ear expose itself. Obviously, the creature has no eyes, so it hunts purely on sound, and the clicking sound that it makes, like a bat, where it uses like a sonic thing where it can hear its environment pinging off. That sound, that click 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 sound that it makes, is actually the sound of a taser gun slowed down.
Wow.
And you'll never be able to unhear it. When I learned that, I was like, oh my god, it's so obvious. Yeah,
I would imagine that there's research that's gone into that, and probably the clicking sound before, because they do it before they attack, is probably a really great tool of echolocation to realize
that's it,
the exact location of their prey. Boom. And they've got it. Yeah, really ingenious.
So the creature was designed by ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, and I watched an interview with a couple of the creature designers, and they were just thrilled to be able to make something like this, because normally they're doing, Disney and your Transformers and your Marvel movies and Star Wars and things like that. So they were like, this is. Yeah, so it's like this is really nice to be able to design like a scary, terrifying creature.
Yeah.
So they had an absolute ball developing this one.
Yeah, it had lots of liquid that flicked off it as well. In the close-up scene, the close-up fight scene at the end, you could see as it was kind of thrashing around from the sonic kind of waves interfering with it, as it's kind of flicking, you see, moisture flicking off it. It was pretty gross.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah. Maybe it was dirt or something. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it could very well have been. Might have been. I'm not too sure. But yeah, it's an awesome creature, and just the way that it moves. It's all completely CG. Whilst there was motion capture, it's all digitally created. There was nothing practical as far as I'm aware, and it just looks stunning. In fact, it looked so good they were planning on sort of not showing the creature at all, really like Jaws-esque or Alien-esque, where you only see it very minimally towards the end. But the creature design, once they'd finished it, was so good that the writers were like, well, we've got to find more places to put it in because it just looks awesome. So they sort of added a few more things in where you could see it a little bit better.
They did so well. I had someone actually talk to me about how he didn't really like how the alien was revealed so close to the beginning. And he loves the anticipation of aliens being revealed later. And he thought, oh man, now you've ruined it. I've seen it. Man, it didn't have that effect at all for me. In fact, it made me want to see it more because it was quite obstructed.
It's like, what a way.
Running through, and then that, man, swiping the child, that just floored me. But the movement and the way that the camera went down to the side of the road, camera was road level, and you see this thing launch up over the other side, almost in slow motion. I don't think it was in slow motion, but I felt time stop, and it just, was just, it left me wanting to see it again. It actually left me wanting to see it again.
Same.
And it was great.
But dreading seeing it. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Should we talk about we talked about the sound that the creature makes. Do you want to just dive into the sound mixing and editing?
Yeah.
Quickly?
Yeah, obviously
it's nuts.
Look, I should have paid a lot of attention to it. I mean, they could have gone. I don't know, when they were on the sand at the beginning and they did the close up of the feet. I can't remember. Did they make any crunchy sounds?
They do. So yeah, one of the things about this film is if you watch it at home, please try and be in an environment where it is as quiet as it possibly can be. So with like hardly any traffic going outside, watch it late at night. As much as it is scary,
turn off the fridge.
I do implore you. I watched this film because I saw it in the cinema, and like that is the best way to see it because the sound is just incredible in a theater. But I watched it this week with noise cancelling headphones on, and if you have those, do that. If you can't, if you don't have the ability to watch it on your TV in a really really quiet environment, grab a computer monitor or an iPad or anything. There's nothing really hugely cinematic that kind of is like, oh, you've got to see this on the biggest screen possible. Like it's such an intimate story with this family. You can kind of get away with watching it on a tablet that's big enough. But yeah, pop some noise cancelling headphones on, even if they pair to your TV. The sound design is just incredible in this film, or lack thereof. Like this film breaks lots of conventions when it comes to sound in film. Like there are moments where all of the diegetic sound just washes away on any shot that's got the daughter in it, like where they just show her.
Yeah, the
sound just drops and you go into her head and what she's hearing, which they do that 4 or 5 times in the film, and it's so effective. And yes, kind of breaks those conventions of cinema, which is awesome.
So powerful when she gets really angry with her dad for not taking her out on the day, and she goes to her room and she throws something at the bed, and as soon as she threw it, which you realise what she threw was the fixed aid that he made or worked on. As she threw it, I thought, don't throw it, something's gonna... Okay, and it landed on the bed. But when she actually, she's like, okay, I'm going to give it a go. Let's see. And she turns it on. You hear that electronic buzz just kind of die out. And it really affected me as well. And my heart sank when you see the close-up of her clicking, but you hear nothing. My heart just sank for her. And this is a great job that Millie did as well, where she's just so, like, she was disappointed, but it was almost like she's like, I knew it wouldn't work. But you just felt so badly for her. But yeah, that scene and where, they're outside and all of a sudden you hear nothing. They're just so fearful. So fearful. Give the audience a sense of what it's like to lose one of your senses altogether in an environment where you know how vital it is to have that sense.
Yeah, it's done so well. There are a few jump scares in the movie, but I think that they're really effective. They're not done as cheap scares. They're there for a reason. Maybe
there's one cheap scare, I reckon.
Is it the animals falling off the roof?
2 cheap scares.
What's the other one?
The other one is the when she reaches down to grab the torch in the cornfield.
Oh yeah, the hand.
And the brother grabs her hand.
Jumps out.
There's an issue I have with that anyway, but why did he do that? If you see your sister, obviously it's your sister's hand, you're going to say, you're going to say, hey, I'm here. Okay, you're not going to say that.
Yeah, no,
but you're not going to grab her to scare the hell out of her. That would freak me out even if I was just walking and getting something from the fridge. If someone grabbed my I knew everyone was in the house. If someone grabbed my hand like that, I would scream. I didn't like how that was done at all. I didn't like how it was edited either. You picked up on this edit, right?
It's kind of... We spoke about it before.
Yeah.
I think that it was deliberate. Terence thinks that it's not. Where it looks like they've dropped some frames where the hand jumps out and grabs his sister quickly. Terence thinks that they just had 2 edits that they didn't... What did you say?
I hope that they did it deliberately. To me, it actually looked sloppy. It looked like they didn't... That there was an error with it where she went to grab the torch and he waited too long to grab her arms, so they had to cut frames to make it work. But I feel that they tried to match the frame and they just didn't match the frame well enough. So
that's fair.
Given
that it's the only time that it happens in the film, I'd probably say that it was something like that rather than a cinematic choice. But I don't know. We'd have to ask John.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to ask him. I think it was okay. I don't want to.
He's pretty busy. Yeah. I mean, I chat to him every now and then, but he doesn't want to talk about his films like that. No. He's very humble. Yeah, just a sweet, humble man.
Just go back 20 seconds, John, and skip past the bit that we just talked about. Yeah. Skip 20 seconds past it. Look, that was that bit as well. There was that bit that I wasn't too keen on.
That jump scare.
Yeah.
But no, aside from that, the sound is just not only brilliantly well realized, and the Foley artists did such an incredible job. For those who don't know, Foley artists are the people who make sounds for movies. Check out, there's lots of little documentaries and interviews and things with Foley artists on YouTube. Watch those because they're truly fascinating. It's an incredible part of cinema where, like, if they do their job perfectly well, you never know that they're there. Like, it is one of the most unsung jobs in cinema. And they're used really effectively here.
Much like a good editor. But I saw the editor
Much like
was
a good
there.
editor.
Okay, talking about Foley. What am I talking about? I was thinking about a thing just when you mentioned that. I can't remember.
That's all right.
No. I don't know. It was about
great
the sound.
Content.
It was about the sound. Oh, yes. The way they used actual spoken dialogue. To be able to decide when to actually speak. They didn't even whisper to each other much at all. They kind of...
When they were speaking, they were speaking.
You could hear their voice when they were signing sometimes. They were mouthing the words, and at times you would hear. But at the waterfall, the scene at the waterfall and by the river... by the river, he was still signing when the son had that scare of the fish falling out, and he had to grab his hand. Because you're going to run and make sound out there. Stay here and make sound when there are loud noises around us. But I thought that was a really nice scene at the waterfall. I think we shouldn't have heard him scream at all. I wish I didn't hear him scream because, it was fine when the camera was there behind the son and the child and the dad, and hearing John Krasinski's character scream into the waterfall. Okay, I heard him. That was great. It was actually quite uplifting to hear that, and quite a relief to know that they still could, if they wanted to, find a place to talk. But then when the kid screamed, the camera was from on the other side of the body of water, away from the water, and you could still hear him. Like, hang on, we shouldn't be able to hear him. This goes against everything you're saying.
I get what you mean, but it's very drowned out, and here's me justifying a film that I have no skin in the game for, other than the fact that I just like it. But I'm going to this time around. I'd say if you move the camera back or 2 meters, you wouldn't hear it. They're that is the distance away that you can hear it, so they're safe doing that.
But if you were behind him 2 meters, you would probably hear him a lot better. Look, there were little things. I found myself all the way through going, would anyone hear that if they did that? How loud can you actually be? I did find myself doing that every now and then, like walking downstairs or walking on leaves. I saw them walking where there wasn't sand. I'm like, would they would have crunched on the leaves? Would that have done it? But that was something I had to think about. Oh, I got a question for you. I'll ask more questions later. But he lit a flame on the top of the silo at the beginning, and he saw all the other silos around him get fire on top of him. Was that a thing? Did he set that up, or was that other people, or is that something
I think it just would have been discovered as time went on in the 470 whatever days that they were out there. They would have realized that there was other pockets of people, operating as well, and it's just a way for them to communicate with each other. Hey, we're still out here.
So when the kids lit the fire, there were no other fires. Does that mean the aliens were really hungry that night and decided to have an exploration party? Let's try and just eat stuff.
I don't know. It's left ambiguous on purpose.
Hopefully the sequel will answer that question. Yes.
All right. Well, we've got quite a few of these, so if it's all right with you, Terence, we'd love to move on to our world famous segment called #WhatAboutWhen.
World famous,
where we get world famous. I say it most weeks. It may be one day. Who knows? Where we ask for some contributions So you can reach out to us on Twitter or Instagram. We are at The Movie Cal. Or you can send us an email, themoviecal@gmail.com. I got it right this week.
Well done.
Yes. Well done. You can see them popping up on the screen here, and they'll be in the description below. You can also jump on our website, themoviecalendar.com, and there's you'll be able to see it all there as well. But yeah, we've got some, at least a contribution, I think Terence told me, from Instagram this week.
Yes.
Which is exciting. Would you want to... We'll do that one first, and then we'll get into ours. Oh, actually, I haven't done this for a while. The concept of what about when is when you leave a cinema for the first time and you're still processing the film, it's the moments that you're like, oh, what about when this and what about when that? Like that's kind of the idea, because you haven't processed it yet. You've only seen it once, so it's those standout moments for you. So with that in mind,
all right,
fire away.
Well, let's do this. This is a contribution from someone who is, let's call this person a regular, because they've contributed once before. This is from Eats Egg Tarts.
Welcome back. It's nice to have you here again.
I'm going to read this out. It's long, but I'm going to read it. We all know what it is, and it's not long. I'll just read it out. What about when the potato sack gets caught on the basement stairs and the head of the nail breaks, and you know it's going to be revisited later, barefoot and all, and there's these faces. And when Emily Blunt, does step on it, cue the squirting tomato sauce sound effects. You want to cringe out loud, but you can't because you don't want to get eaten by the monster either. And you squint watch her pull her foot off from the nail in pain and hopes she stays alive.
Incredible.
Squint
Very
watch.
well relived. I like to refer to the nail being dragged up as Chekhov's nail.
Chekhov's nail.
Chekhov's nail. If you're not familiar, Chekhov famously wrote that nothing should ever be wasted in writing. So if something appears in Act 1, it has to be used in Act 2 or 3, and if it's not, then it has to go out of the script or out of the book. So famous instances like if a gun is introduced in Act 1, someone has to die in Act 3, or it has to be fired.
Okay.
I think the particular novel that he was talking about, actually I don't know off the top of my head, but it's like if a piece of writing, someone enters a room and there's a shotgun up on the wall, like that's a detail that's in the novel. If that doesn't come back, it needs to go from the script. Like it needs to be gone. So I refer to it as Chekhov's nail. Well, so when it's up there, we have to come back to it. And as soon as it's there, and it goes so long between it coming up and then it coming back, it's awful. Such an awful moment.
Oh look, it's an incredible what about when, of course. Yes, it plays out so yep. I was watching it the same way. I was squint watching, and the way she pulls her foot up off the nail was just painful, and the little bit of blood that you see kind of pull back on the nail as she comes. But this nail is the biggest and probably the only, even though I've mentioned a couple of little ones, but they pale in comparison to this problem. I actually do not like that this nail existed, and there are a couple of reasons why. First of all, the nail of that size, we would have seen it before. We would have, because there have been a few shots of the stairs and it was not in any of those shots. It was on the third or the fourth step up from the bottom, and we saw the third or the fourth step in shots earlier. It was not on that step. Also, here's the other big reason I have a problem with this. That house was the second house, right? Or it was their original house, we discover later on, because upstairs is Beau's bedroom. So they moved out of that house and went into the farmhouse, I guess. So you see when Millie's character walks in and wants to go into the basement, you see in that scene that there are paint marks painted where they can step, because they're the silent steps. There are paint marks on the stairs going down, and you see that there is a paint mark going right over the nail. Now this is after the nail is exposed. You see that the nail is actually sticking right up on a paint mark. I don't believe that they would have done that and not removed that nail that was hanging out ready to be caught on a sack. I don't believe it. And I hate that it was placed there for that. Hate it.
Sure.
Too
Hate it all you
unbelievable.
want. It happened, and it's amazing, and I love it, and you're wrong.
If you agree with me, please comment below.
Maybe it was
if you agree with Lee, comment below.
It was the kids that painted the stairs.
Yeah, right.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Look, it happened, and in anything can happen. In the world of anything can happen, this happened, and it was like the storytelling mechanism was excellent to build the tension and just add another layer of just horribleness to the entire scene.
Look, I see why the nail was there.
Great.
I see why it was there, but they should have introduced it in scene 1. They should have done that because it came out of nowhere. They needed it, right? This was what enabled her to possibly be the cause of a premature birth. Possibly. Because this caused strain on an already heavy load she was carrying up. It caused her to fall back on the stairs as she was walking up after doing the wash. That's why she fell back initially. And when I saw her do that stumble, I thought, oh, she's so heavily pregnant. Oh, I hope she's okay. Oh, and of course, later we see her water break. So people could say that was the reason for it. And then, of course, when she steps on it, that's what brings the alien to her. So we needed to have a mechanism for that to happen. I think it could have been nearly anything else in that world. It didn't have to be magically appearing nails. Big-ass nails.
Thank you, Eats Egg Tarts, for that What About When. It was amazing.
So
I have a What About When, which is, we've already spoken about it, and for me it is the biggest one.
Yeah.
What about when the youngest child gets taken at the bridge before the title card of the film comes up? It sets you up for something that, like, anything can happen, and it's incredible. I can't imagine what it would have been like watching that as a father.
No, you can't, and you would never want to. But just the last shot when it gets taken in front of him, the camera changes to the angle running, facing John Krasinski as John Krasinski as he runs, and he gets swiped in front of him, and the camera doesn't even stay on him long enough for you to see the full realization of what just happened. He's still looking at this empty spot where his son was just standing, and it cuts to black. Holy moly. Yeah, it's in the script during this moment, because you see Emily Blunt's character, turn around and kind of just put her hands up in front of her face in that exact moment, because that's scripted, that bit. That's not an improvisation or an accident. And it says something to the effect of, I haven't written it down, something to the effect of, Evelyn turns around knowing that her child is now dead. Yep.
Like, she knows it's over, and the dad does what he can to try and save him, but she knows that he's gone. And knowing that information that is on the script, like, if you watch that scene again, you can see it in her face.
Yeah.
It's awful.
And it's,
so, like, go.
It comes out later on where she finally says how she's carried this guilt, how she's saying he was so heavy I could feel him. Why didn't I carry him? I should have carried him. It's just horrible. It
was no one's fault.
Each of them would have been
insane.
Each of them would have been carrying that guilt as well. Yes, that's the biggest What About When, and I didn't even have it written down, believe it or not.
Yeah,
I had my phone in my hand. I was gobsmacked. I was just I couldn't type anything.
Like, what a lot of films, what a lot of horror films do is that they have, like, especially when there's a creature or an alien or zombies or whatever, there will be characters deliberately in the film that are cannon fodder. Like, they're designed, they're in there to be killed to show the effect. And what this film does is that it doesn't have any of those characters. Everyone that's in this movie, in that family unit, you expect to make it to the end because of they're all important. So by having that happen so early in the film, it sets it up that, like, anything can happen at any point in time. Any of these characters can go, and you won't be expecting it, and it's just going to happen. And so you've got that carrying you're carrying that as an audience member the entire way through, and it's so incredibly effective. As awful as it is, it's a wonderful cinematic technique.
Oh God, it just makes me think back to the day 89, how they thought, we've been here for 3 months, we know how this world works, it's good. But you know what, that was a massive lesson, the biggest lesson in the world, in don't become complacent, because that family was complacent that day. They walked through this minefield of deadly aliens where we're just going to be fine with our 4-year-old son walking way back there behind us. He's all right. It's like, I wouldn't walk anywhere with my shit without holding their bloody hand. And I saw them walking out of that supermarket, and I'm like, why is he at the end? Why is he at the end behind someone who can't hear? What is going on? What are they thinking? I mean, as soon as they walked out, I'm like, yeah, something's happening to this kid. Something is happening.
Yeah. So Terence and I had a chat just before we started recording about our what about whens, and Terence made a really good point. He said this entire film is what about whens, which is so true. Like, I hadn't thought about it before. I had a bunch written down. He had a bunch written down, and most of them were different, surprisingly enough. So we might just do a couple of rapid fire ones and not deep dive on them, but just shout them out as to our moments. So do you want to do?
Should we go one for one?
Yeah, we'll go one for one. Go for it.
All right. What about when the aliens smashed the raccoon in the cornfield?
What about when the lantern gets knocked over when the kids are playing Monopoly?
Oh my God! Yeah, just before he's putting it out. What about when the old man stands up in the woods just behind the sun?
Oh. What about when? Oh, we spoke about that one already. What about when the alien creature goes under the water?
What about when her water breaks?
Yep, all of them. Oh. All of them. What about when she's in the bathtub?
What about when she goes back up she goes to go back up the stairs, and you see the alien creeping across the top of the stairs, and she goes, nope, and comes back. It's in the house. It's in the house. What about when they're in the cornfield and Reagan is looking this way and you see the alien behind her? The alien can't hear her or see her, and she can't hear or see the alien, and they're right near each other. Well, that was the first time the hearing... You
learn a little bit about the weakness.
Yep.
The frequency.
The frequency interruption. What about when... Yep. Do you have another one?
I don't get to do another one now, apparently. Terence is taking it from here.
What about when I make Lee think I'm doing one instead of him? Great moment. Go.
No, I'm done.
Are you really? Okay, I've got a couple more. What about when the father signs to his daughter in the truck that he loves her and he's always loved her? And what about when we're doing
rapid fire ones.
That he's gone.
I know we're doing rapid fire. But there's a really, really sweet moment with that. We'll make this the last one.
Yeah, okay.
During that scene, so in the script, he was only ever supposed to say, I love you.
Yeah.
And it was Millie's idea to have him say, after that, I have always loved you.
Oh, because that was the most important piece. I've always loved you. How good is it that it was her idea?
So when she pitched that to him and he cried and was like, well, that's going in the movie. So yeah, that was her idea. So we've got her to thank for that.
I don't like that he just screamed. I wish he threw his axe into the woods and made him go run away. He didn't have to scream.
He was injured, I think. So that I think he knew he was done for.
Wow. Yeah, that was hard.
Yeah, heartbreaking.
It was sad watching that, and that they had to watch it. Lucky the truck was pointing the right way, right? Oh, we'll just drive home.
Should we jump onto the next bit?
Well, let's jump onto the next bit. After the next bit, like we always do, I'll do another rapid fire of questions that I've got about this that you don't need to answer.
We add it. Do it. I really like our calendar date, and I think we should end with it. So let's do the questions first,
and we'll do these quick fire questions that I have. Okay, here we go. How did the old lady in the woods die?
She was killed by the creature.
Oh, how would they leave a nail? Why would they leave a nail in the step? Okay, never mind. Okay, what was the red...
You and that bloody nail.
What was the red drawing next to the rocket that little Bo does? He drew a rocket and there was a pool of red. I thought it was like red blood. He'd seen something horrible. Okay. The ground is wet, which means it rained. How did the sand stay? Okay, never mind. That was in the first shot.
Done that one.
How long would it have taken to lay the sand? Why does the 4-year-old only walk at the back? Okay.
89 days.
Where does all the sand come from?
They had it.
They had it.
They had it on the farm.
Why isn't she allowed in the basement?
Sorry about that, everyone. I just covered my camera. I had a notification pop up.
Why wasn't she allowed
there is
in
a
the
reason.
basement?
Father doesn't want. He's trying to protect her, in the wrong way. But he's trying to protect her from seeing the horrible things. Because he's doing research on the creatures and trying to reach out, and as well as all of the working on the cochlear implant for her and things.
Okay, when he finally carries Evelyn with the baby back underground, Evelyn falls asleep. They're resting or something, and he says it's okay. They can't hear us, and he says it worked. What worked?
The soundproof room that they've been building.
The soundproof room. Okay, cool. And my last question is, how did the alien get into the leaky basement? Because the mattress was over the top of the thing. How did it get in there? What drew it into the basement anyway?
The trickling water that was happening down in there, it would have just shifted the mattress across to find a way in. Because she was, we don't see it get in there because Evelyn is passed out.
Yeah, okay. And it's in there, and that's, of course, when it goes under the water. It looked like a small one, because I don't think the water was that deep. But, man, that was creepy. And for her to have the guts to get in that water and get her baby.
Like, everyone in the theatre gasped when it went under the water. It was so tense.
Just the way it went in. And, the camouflage. Didn't see it was there until it kind of stood and turned around. That was brilliant. That was brilliant. They're my questions. Questions out of the way. Did I mention the nail? Yeah, I did, yeah.
Whoa, gee whiz.
I love this film.
Okay.
I love it, and I can't wait to see the sequel. I really do.
Yeah, same. Very much so.
All right, let's get to... Let's get to the reason why we're all here.
We're all here, so we're going to add the film to the movie calendar. So the moment we've all been waiting for. We'd love contributions for this as well. If you tell us a story as to why you'd like a particular film on a certain date, please let us know. Send us a DM or email us. All of the links to our socials and things are down in the description below. We didn't get any for this week, but that's okay because I think Terence and I have collectively chosen an incredible date for this film, I think. It shows our attention to detail and a little bit of math skills, if you don't mind. Thank you very much. So the date that we have chosen
and thank
for
you,
this
Siri.
film...
Thank you, Siri.
Thank you to our digital assistants. And Google. I had to Google it as well to make sure I was correct. And then I physically checked on the calendar as well. So, the date that we have chosen is June 17th.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the reason for this date is because on day 473 in the film, we see the calendar that we spoke about earlier. And on that date, Evelyn is marking off October 3rd. So that's the date that they're on. Mm-hmm. That calendar is actually from 2018 because that day falls on a Wednesday. Oh no, the due date of the 23rd falls on a Wednesday. And I checked, the calendar would have been a 2018 one, which makes sense because they wouldn't have had calendars in production after this film. So they would have just had one earlier. Oh, yeah. But if you go back from that date, if the film is set in the year... surprisingly enough, in the year 2020, and given... Actually, no, the film was set in 2021. The invasion date is in 2020, which makes a lot of sense given all of the things that have happened in 2020 so far. I'm just surprised that hasn't happened yet. But yeah, on the 17th of June, 2020 is when the aliens land on planet Earth and start wreaking havoc.
On a meteor.
So that is
in Mexico.
Is day one.
Day one.
Well, we don't know that for sure. We can assume, given the headline. But yeah, that's how we assume that they arrived.
It was on one of the clippings, yes. Wow. Day one, or Invasion Day, the day of arrival.
Yep. So day one of the film would be the 17th of June.
17th.
So that's what date we're going to put the film on. And I think that's great.
Good date. I like that one.
Yep. So if you're sitting at home and that is the date, and you've got yourself a movie calendar, you can open up and be like, oh, what am I going to watch with my family today?
Yeah.
A Quiet Place. Great. Let's throw that on.
Maybe it's your birthday. Perfect film to watch on your birthday.
Exactly.
Well done.
Yeah, so that's a good one. I like that date. I think it's a good one. So yeah.
Yeah, I like that date too. Very poignant to the film. I like that word, poignant. Yes. I think I've said it a number of times in a number of episodes.
Oh, I repeat. I use the words brilliant and beautiful, and there's what episode was it? You could almost do a drinking game with the amount of times I said a certain word in one of the episodes. I don't remember which one it was. I remember listening back to it when we were editing it, and thinking, oh God, I say that word way too much. I try to catch myself now. So we're getting better. We're still a young podcast. So please, in the spirit of that, share this with a couple of friends if you think that they'd enjoy it. Leave us a like on YouTube if you're here, and subscribe if you haven't done so already, or listen and or rate us on your podcast app of choice. It really, really does help us out.
And check out some of our other what did I was going to say, movies, films, episodes that we've done. There's a link to this one and Iron Man. When Millie's character says, I want to go with you, I want to go out and help you, and he says, next time. Iron Man, when he looks at the suit and goes, next time.
I would say if we're going
next time.
If we're going to link this film to a one that we've already done, I would say it would be Alien. But, hey.
I don't see the link
that's just
at
me.
all. I don't see the link at all. They don't share scripts.
If you like this style of film and you haven't watched our episode of Alien, I'm going to pat us on the back a little bit and say that it's absolutely one of our better episodes. It's a really good one if you want to take a deep dive into the history of how that film was made. It's a great one. We're close to the episode now. We've never done this before, so we might see if Terence can put it up, if it pops up at the top of the episode for Alien. If you click on that little link that's popped up now,
is it this side?
We'll see if we can.
This
I don't know. It's on your side of the screen.
Like
I know that. It's not on my side.
I have no idea. I'm going to try and play with the cards that go on top so you can click it and it'll link you back.
We'll see how that goes. But so next week, as we all know, as we mentioned, is going to be Inception. Now, by the time this episode is released, that will already be recorded in the bag. So if you did contribute with your hashtag #WhatAboutWhens or the calendar date itself, thank you for that in advance. We are going to be recording that soon because Terence and I are going on holidays. But at the end of that episode, we're going to be announcing the next block of films that we're going to do. We're going to try and announce 4, and that will cover every week in September.
3 or 4, yeah.
3 or 4, yeah.
Cool.
I reckon we can announce 4.
Yeah, I reckon
we've got a lot of films to do yet. This is only episode, 12?
Yeah, this is 12. Yep.
Yeah.
And
man, we've got so many to go.
Like Lee said, leave us your feedback. If this is a great way of announcing it, tell us if this is good. Tell us if it's not good. If you have enough time to contribute, it doesn't matter. You can always contribute. You can always leave comments below. Go on Insta, go on Twitter, and just have a chat. It's about communicating. It's about just talking and keep the conversation alive. It's about film and what your thoughts are. Thank you to Eats Egg Tarts. I can never say that. Eats Egg Tarts. I still have not eaten an egg tart, but thank you for being a valued audience member.
Thank you, everyone, for listening and watching and contributing. We really appreciate it, and we will see you next week.
Cool. See ya.
Bye, everyone.